You married for 55 years
Yeah.
and one wife. Your last son, Yol, took a second wife, which has created a lot of controversy. When he made this decision, what was your advice to him? Um, I'm still trying to hold my. I'm honored. Thank you so much, sir. Chukwu Gozie, you can squire Igbo. Meeting a legend, Odogu like. Thank you so much, sir. I'm short of words. Chukwu Gozie. I actually came to see you because you cannot talk about the Igbo culture without bringing the legend. It's not possible, right? From the days of things fall apart. And it's the fact that you've remained the same. I don't know how you've kept up with the prestige, with the honor. You've maintained that status quo. No scandal, no drama. It's been you. Knowing you as a child and knowing you now, they've not been any difference. And you still look very, very agile and healthy. Thank you so much, sir. I'm really grateful.
I'm honored.
So, sir, I want to get to know you. I want to get to know you. And a lot of people do not know you. They just get to see you in movies, a couple of interviews. So today I said, as one Igbo, I want to know who the legend Pet Edochie is. So I have a few questions for you, sir.
All right.
Can we know where you're from? A lot of people say you're from Enugu, and because you've lived in Enugu for a long time, they say you are Enugu. Can we know where you're from, sir? We are curious.
All right. I was born in Enugu, number 22 Church Road. So pretty close to St. Bart's. But I come from Anambra State, Nteje. The capital of Oyi local government, the headquarters, yeah. You see, but I have spent most of my life in Enugu. All my children were born in Enugu. And they're all grown now, and they're all married, children. So I am essentially an Enugu material, if I'll put it that way, yeah.
So why did you choose Enugu? Was it that you grew here, you were born here?
You see, there is something about Enugu that I enjoy a great deal. Enugu is warm. Enugu is hospitable. And there is something placid about Enugu. Enugu is not as noisy as other parts of Igbo land. You know, I play a lot of classical music, and Enugu atmosphere is ideal for it. I can trust the people I have worked with in Enugu, and I don't blame people who think I'm from Enugu because since the war ended, I've been living in Enugu. In fact, even before the war, when I ran away from northern Nigeria, I stopped in Enugu. So Enugu means so much to me, you know, and as a matter of fact, sometimes if you ask me, I'll tell you, I mean, yeah, that's right, you know, and it's so exciting to belong to Enugu. So if you say I am from Enugu, you're perfectly right.
So we are going to say you are among the Alaboti.
Complete. Yeah, that's right. Because I have spent all my Christmas holidays here in Enugu. Enugu means so much to me. Yeah.
Okay, sir. You've been married for decades.
Mhm.
For how long?
I've been married for 55 years. Yeah, 55.
To one woman.
Yeah. Are you, are you expecting me to be married to 10 women, one
Because
woman?
this is rare. These days we just married for 2-3 months and we're out.
You're right. And if you don't mind, I think the women are responsible for it, you know. Yeah. They want to imitate the white people. The white people do not have the marriage culture that we have as Igbo. And this is why, I mean, I watched my mother stay in the marriage with my father until death came. I am the first, and I got married, and I've stayed with my wife for the past 55 years. I have never struck her for one day, but yet, I mean, we have our misunderstandings because we all started out as broadcasters. You can never get to know whether there's anything wrong or not. So I thank God for that. We understand ourselves very well. Today, women don't seem to know why they get married, and that's where the problem is. Our mothers were not educated, but they knew that they owed themselves the responsibility of running a beautiful household by raising children and perpetuating the line of their husbands. Today's woman does not know that. Most of you don't even know how to cook. And that's a very big problem. You don't know how to cook. If you knew how to cook, you probably keep your marriage together, but a lot of marriage, you don't know how to cook. You know, you expect to be taken out so you can eat out. Yeah, shawarma and all that sort of stuff. Yeah. That's the problem. And then wanting to do what other people do. That's the biggest problem you have in any relationship. Every relationship is unique. And that's an essential ingredient. You are married to one person. It cannot be greener on the other side. No. Yeah, you stick to that person. Both of you understand each other, and you develop a very passionate relationship. Nobody can interfere in that relationship. And it means a lot. That's what we met when we came into this world. We saw our parents live peacefully. Whatever it is my father would like to eat, he will make arrangement for it, and my mother would cook it. It doesn't happen like that these days, no. And if we try to make people understand that there are rules that must make a relationship succeed, we are referred to as
Old school.
Old school. That's right. Well, I am glad that I belong to the old school. And
It was not peaceful.
Yes, peaceful. Like what God Himself ordered. That's it. You know. Well, it's, I don't know. You know, when I started out with my wife, you could come and find two of us playing Ludo. You know, just me. Yeah, when one of you was on here, just two of us. You know, two young people. We got married during the war, so we didn't have much to lean on. We didn't have too much diversion, you know. I bought 2 chickens. One died. I tried to persuade my wife to allow us eat that part. She refused. Said she doesn't eat that. So we threw it out, and by the following morning, Mother Bugoli, I mean, during the war now, you couldn't see. I mean, you have to grab it and it's meat. So it's, I don't know, but I don't know why people can't keep your marriage together. Yeah. We have kept ours. I wish you people same.
We are looking up to you because most times we use people, legends like you, as reference. So that's why I am here and that's why we are here. So I wanted to ask, sir, how did Nollywood begin?
Good question. You see, when we did Things Fall Apart in 1985, there was nothing like Nollywood. Nollywood came 7 years after, in 1992, with Living in Bondage. It was Living in Bondage that started Nollywood. So I wouldn't include Things Fall Apart, which we did on celluloid 7 years earlier. And it was Nebwe, yes, Nebwe, who owned Things Fall Apart. It was the same man we did Rituals for, Ken Nebwe, yeah, that's right. But a very creative producer, very meticulous. He actually opened the way to Nollywood. With,
so how did it begin? Did they just call you? How did you know you had the acting skill after the war when you came to Enugu?
You see, a lot of people do not know that I was a broadcaster for 31 years. I trained formally in the BBC, and after I left broadcasting in 1991, I joined the movie industry. I was still a broadcaster when we did Things Fall Apart. I talk about how I joined the cast for Things Fall Apart. I was chosen. I didn't know I walked like Okonkwo. I hadn't read the book. But the person who produced it, one engineer, GC Ugu from Isuawa, he's dead now, was a zonal director, I think zone C, or I don't know, but with their headquarters in Benin, the NTA. He told them, go and look for this man, right? They had already done the first part, and he had to burn it. It was done. EDOCHIE played Okonkwo, and he was mispronouncing all the Igbo words, and he wasn't happy about it. He said, no, this is not what I asked for. Go and look for this man. Nobody looked for me. Eventually, they contacted me. I was going to do my afternoon program on radio, and I walked into the university hall, conference hall or something. And immediately I got in there, the white woman who was responsible for casting, she screamed, if this man could act, this is the man we want, this is the man we want. I hadn't seen her before. And I went in there, they gave me a script, I read it, and all the others who had come for the same role shook hands with me and left. So I said, I thank all of you for settling for me, but I haven't read this book. Could you give me a copy to go and read? They gave me, and that's how the story began. And when we finished shooting Things Fall Apart, the BBC flew in to interview me. They took me into the bush. We reenacted some parts of the book, and then they went across the Atlantic to interview Chinua Achebe in America. And Chinua said, of all those who have performed Things Fall Apart, Peter EDOCHIE alone gave that role the interpretation after my heart. And I think it's the biggest compliment I received, coming from the author himself. And at the risk of sounding immodest, it was a hugely successful effort, and most of the actors were drawn from different parts of the country. I am Okonkwo. I'm an Igbo man. Just to say, Siri played Okonkwo's right-hand man, Obierika, was from Warri. Then there was Eleyumi Funsho Adiolu playing Chief, not Ezwodo now, one of the chiefs, and then the cameraman was from the north, Yusuf, the lighting one, Professor Oni from University of Lagos. People were just chosen at random. Yeah, and I think that's why it had this national appeal. It was, yeah, that's right, and it was immensely successful. And it was recorded on celluloid, so it was very good, very, very good.
So, we the young people, the biggest problem we have is consistency. How have you been able to keep this legendary personality? No scandal, no drama. It's just the pet Edochie. How did you do it? No dragging. The name comes with so much authority. How have you done it? Because we are struggling. We are struggling.
First of all, I have to thank the Almighty God for all the success I have recorded. I married early. I married at 22. And as a broadcaster, I was very conscious of societal expectations of my person. So I wanted to toe a line of moral rectitude and ensure that I did not go astray. So I managed to maintain that. I diverted myself whenever I felt like. Alcoholically, I believed very much that nobody could drink me under the table. But you see, I ensured that I kept my cool wherever I went to, and I was listless as far as blandishments or praises were concerned. Peter Edochie, you're fantastic. Thank you. You're wonderful. Thank you. You're a disappointment. Thank you. I mean, these things didn't mean anything to me, so I never saw myself as a superstar, but I worked extremely hard to be a successful actor. I must tell you the truth. I was inspired by somebody called Sir Laurence Olivier. Of course, I mean, he's long dead now, but when we were still in secondary school, we were being shown Shakespearean films by this man. And I think he almost single-handedly went through Shakespeare. So I said to myself, Pete, look, why don't you try to be like this man? And that was how it started. So in my third year in the secondary school, I was selected to be part of the team to go dramatize some aspect of Merchant of Venice. I played the Duke, some other person played Shylock, etc. That was how we started. And then I said to myself, I watch this man every weekend. Why don't you try capturing some scenes from various parts of Shakespeare so that one day you just could be like this man? And I took off. I started with The Merchant of Venice, where Shylock said, I have an oath. I have an oath in heaven. Shall I lay perjury upon my soul? No, not for Venice. And he goes further. I have a daughter. Would any of the stock of Barabbas have been a husband rather than a Christian? I picked that one up. Then I went into King Henry V. By Jove, I'm not covetous for gold, nor care I who doth feed upon my cost. It turns me not when men my garments do wear, such outward things dwell not upon my desires, but if it be a sin to covet honor, I am the most
Your memories are so retentive.
I don't forget anything that goes into my head never goes out. Yeah, that's right, you know. So I can sit down here and quote extensively from at least 5 books of Shakespeare, you know, and that was how I actually got into acting. Because while I was still on television and radio as a broadcaster, I was taking the news on radio and television. I was doing disc jockeying on radio. I was going out to interview people, and it expanded my intellect a lot. And you know, I always loved challenges. And if I tell you how I got involved with broadcasting, it's the kind of tale that actually you will see in Shakespeare. Look, I went for an interview. Oh, by the way, when I came back from the north, I'd been invited for an interview because I applied from Zaria where I was working. By the time we came back here, the interview was sent to the north. Then it came back here, and the man who was my boss didn't know my name. Everybody was calling me Elvis Presley. I was slim, tall, good looking, by the way, and I was growing my hair this way, and he didn't know I was Peter Edochie, or I am Peter Edochie. How do I put it? So when he got the invitation, he just threw it under his desk pad. It was when my father came to look for me. Because he knew my father, recognized him, and asked him what he was doing in his office. And I've come to see my son. He said, who? My father indicated me. The man said, Presley. My father said, that's not his name. His name is Peter Edochie. That's my son. That was when he called me and then gave me that invitation. I said, does this mean anything to you? By then, the date had expired. I wept. So I rushed down to the EMBC, the 6-story building along Ogui Road. The building is still there. I went there, took the flight of stairs in a hurry, got to the office, and said, look, I was invited for this interview, but I'm a refugee from the north, and look, this is what I had wanted to do all my life. Help me. And the young man I appealed to was secretary to the big boss. He took pity on me, then went upstairs and told the boss, a man from Akwa Ibom, he said, this young man appears to be promising. Please, sir, can you interview him? He said, I'm sorry. Everything that is over. I mean, why didn't he come when others came? And he said, look, this man just came back from the north, and from the story he's told me, this is just what he wants to do. And the man said, all right, I'll give him a chance. If he fails, he has failed. So he gave him one sheet of paper containing some materials. I said, go and give it to him. Tell him to read it. I'm going to ask him 2 or 3 questions. 3 questions actually. If he fails any of them, he's off. I said my prayers. I sat down there waiting for him, forgot me, and he went away. By the time he came back much later, I was still sitting down waiting for him. He asked me to come in, sit down. Have you read it? I said, yes, sir. I'm going to ask you 3 questions. What is the title of what is written there? because I grabbed it from a book. What is the title of this story? I said the title, sir, The Telltale Heart. Come again? The Telltale Heart. Who wrote it? I said Edgar Allan Poe. Where are they from? It's from America. One more question. Where did I get it from? You got it from Tales of Mystery and Imagination. And then he said, you are an idiot. What have you been doing? What? He really insulted me roundly. And then he said, come in tomorrow and join the interview. I said, thank you, sir. I went there for, by the way, that was where I saw my wife. So I went for the interview, and they got 20 questions from Reader's Digest. I answered all 20 questions correctly. And he said, okay, tomorrow, report for work. Put on whatever material you have and report for work. I said, thank you, sir. Now, I just made a cream suit. So I put it on with my bow tie. That was all I had in my life. And I went there and I sat down and I was watching what was going on television. Then there was a program to come up. The two people to be interviewed on that program were already in the studio. There was no presenter. And the boss looked at me and said, go and present that program. Listen, I've never been into a television studio before. I mean, look, I don't know whether you can imagine what I'm talking about. Go and present that program. I looked, all right, sir. And I went into the studio and I sat down. And for God's sake, I didn't know what. I saw the floor managers wearing their headphones, and then they cued me. I was looking at them. They cued me. I looked at them. Because they did this, I also did this. I didn't know what it meant. They were looking at me. Then after some time, one of them said, I nodded and I did it. It was all on screen. It was all on screen and people were laughing. Talk. Present the program. Talk. All right. I don't know what happened or what came into me. And I introduced the two people, introduced the topic, and I just went ahead.
And flowed.
It did. At the end of it all, I signed off, and everybody started clapping. And I didn't really know what I didn't know what I was doing, but they started clapping. And the boss came into the studio. Good job. From now on, you got yourself a program. I said, me? He said, yes. So every Friday evening, you must come and present this program. I said, thank you, sir. I had no previous training as a broadcaster. So it was a baptism of fire. And that was it. Before I knew it, my name was on the roster. I would read news on television. I would read news on radio. I would run continuity on radio. I would do continuity, Then I do disc jockeying. I mean, that's it. Nobody trained me formally.
That's His grace.
Yeah, until I went to the BBC in 1980. Nobody, And I rose to be the best presenter on the station, and during the war, I was moved over to Voice of Biafra with my wife, who was our best continuity announcer, and And I stayed on in broadcasting until I became a director of programs. And
The rest is.
there was no point continuing because I was already at the top. So I came out and I joined the movie industry. While I was a broadcaster, I did a lot of TV strips, we had some drama sketches on television. Every Man, what are the other ones? I can't remember them now, but I was doing a lot of drama sketches on TV. And I think I was an immensely successful broadcaster, both on television and on radio. So when I joined the movie industry, well, it was not a surprise that I was in very hot demand. Let me just leave it at that.
Wow, that's a very interesting ride. So I'm going to say passion, grace is the best. So let's talk about marriage as an Igbo person. What do people expect when maybe outsiders are coming to marry Igbo women? What do they expect? What is the general culture? Some people say our bride prices are high. Some people say our women we're like money, our eyes are so big. So what do these men expect?
Very good question. The reason is that people have never bothered to find out all there is to marriage in Igbo land. You see, if you went to a man's house in a car to discuss money, to discuss a contract, you're more likely to pick up that contract than if you went there on keke or a bicycle. That's right. I mean, you're going to be assessed, first of all, what you're wearing, then the vehicle you came in. Come on a bicycle, a machine, or in a car, It's the same thing with going to get married in Igbo land. First of all, there are preliminaries, Introduce the man to your father, all right? There is somebody who's a middleman. You're going to find out all there is to know about the woman. Same thing goes for the bridegroom. All there is to know about the man. At the end of the day, there's an agreement. So they go to talk about the bride price.
Is that what we call ajuju?
Yeah, the ajuju, that's right. That's what precedes it. And a lot of questions are asked. Nia na nia vabizikwo. That's one. Ndi beva ni ebite kwa aka. Onwele oya ni egbu ndi beva. You see, a lot of questions. Onya actually enu onwe nwanne ejego bedi. Nyana die vabi. All these questions are asked. Then if the responses are all the positive, then I say that Nezi Galeba, that is, there's a route to the place. But if there are answers that are discouraging, so when you go through all that preliminaries, then you go for the haggling. The people whose daughter you are will now say, what a class of one hour. Everybody will not assent good, or the man good. That is 500,000. And then the haggling, many people say, hey, because like in but there's a way they do the thing with broomsticks and so it's not too brazen. At the end of the day, they just might settle for 250,000. What you're saying, well, the 250 will be. That is the aspect a lot of people know. But they don't finish the story. When you go with the 250,000, the man is sitting with his relation, just one person, who will count the money and then tell him, Ozukwele is good. What next does he do? He takes about 20,000 from that money and then asks you to take the rest. I'm not selling my daughter. Come on, my gain. You guys that's all. And just to let him know
The value you face.
that's right, and that you can take care of the daughter. That is all. So people don't know that that money is not collected and held by the prospective father-in-law. He just takes a little. Some people will say, okay, they have this box, fill it with clothes, wrappers and all that. Nothing prevents you from going to hire wrappers and fill that box. No. Because the box belongs to the woman you want to marry anyway. At the end of the day, you take the wrappers back. So, what matters is that the man whose daughter you are is pleased for the young man who wants to marry you. Then they arrange for the wine carrying. People tend to play down that aspect of our marriage. But listen, that wine carriage is the marriage proper, is the traditional marriage. Because then the father of the girl pours some quantity of palm wine into a glass, gives to her and says, go and show us your husband. Then she dances teasingly, through the maze of men there until finally she finds this man. She kneels down before him, sips the drink, gives to the man. The man now drains the cup and gets up with the woman. And they proceed to the father of the girl. He blesses them. That small gesture simply means whatever they came with, you can now consume. This is my husband. That is the traditional marriage. Going to the church is to tell the Almighty God, we are married, oh, bless us. So anybody who says marrying in Igbo land is expensive, it's discouraging, does not quite understand our culture. Yeah.
Polygamy, is it part of the Igbo culture?
To
Polygamy, marrying more than one wife.
in Igbo land, there is absolutely nothing wrong with polygamy. We look for sons a lot. If you are married to a woman and you have about, say, 3 or 4 kids, and they're all women, girls, you'll be advised to take another wife. The white people don't give a damn about the sex of the kid. We do. Because you would want a perpetuation of your lineage. The other don't give a damn. I mean, whether you have a daughter or a son, not their business. In Igbo land, succession is patrilineal in most parts of Igbo land. And there's primogeniture. Onye buzo wemo, ga-anọchi obi, etc. Ụmụ nwaanyị ada anọchi obi because they must go out and get married. Now, anybody ana-ene anya na ọ ga-abụ igwe and the wife just has daughters for him. Ọ ga-eje chọọ nwaanyị ọzọ. O nwere ike n'ụzọ ụmụ nwaanyị ịtọ ma ọ ịnọ ga-amụtali ya ụmụ nwoke. So in Igbo land, polygamy is not, there's nothing criminal about it, no. Ọ na-enwe ife na-akpata ya, ịghọtago. But you know what has to do with families, abụrụ ife a na-ebupụta n'ilo, ịghọtago. People may not know the cause, right? Sometimes both parties agree. Then so it's nothing criminal about it. Absolutely, you know. Yeah, I can tell you that. Yeah.
In Igbo culture, a situation whereby a man goes into polygamy and for different personal reasons.
Good.
And you know, when you go into polygamy for, like you said, maybe you don't have a son, you're looking for a son, and you still want to keep your first or your second wife. In Igbo culture, what can you do to appeal? Because some women might say they want to go, but I still love my first wife and my second wife and I want to keep them. Is there any cultural thing you can do to appeal to a woman that you still love based on different reasons why you might want to take another wife?
Like I said, sometimes your wife just has daughters for you, and you are being looked upon as the next Igwe of the community. You must do everything possible to ensure that you get a son or sons. You'll tell your wife, I'm going to take a wife. Right? And in most cases, you know, there's some consent. You know, go and do that. Yeah, that's right. Where there is some disagreement between the couple, the man may feel that he's no longer comfortable in the company of this woman, or he feels that this woman maybe has developed some extraneous influence. Some extraneous contacts. She's now having some relationship beyond the family, in which case the husband no longer feels safe even eating what she has cooked. He might decide on his own to take a second wife. In a situation like that, there's hardly some accord there. It's difficult to find harmony in such a situation, you know. Like happened in the Bible, Abraham was married to Sarah, they had no child. Then according to the report of the Bible, and then Sarah said, go and take Hagar to be your wife, you know. Then Hagar gave birth to Ishmael. They began to mock Sarah. Then God said, okay, you're going to have your own children, Isaac, you know, and all that. So you see, you never can tell what the problem in a relationship is. Most times, if you're invited as a third party to come and settle whatever disagreement there is between two people, between couples, if you want to pontificate, don't try to blame any party. Because at the end of the day, if they don't make up, the blame will be on you. Always tell them that there's a need for them to stay together. You know, things like that. But you don't really come out and say, you are. It's just like when Christ was approached by his people and they said, are we supposed to pay tax to the Romans? He looked around and said, look, he looked at it. Oh, you see Caesar. What you know, Caesar, you know. That was the greatest diplomacy that our Lord employed in the Bible. That was the best way, the easiest way. The choice of saying, go and pay your tax. Can only say is here, but of course, Caesar, which you again and carbon kind, and that was it.
Is that a gift to Caesar or belongs to Caesar?
Beautiful. It was incredible diplomacy. So you see, you never can tell what is the cause of disagreement between couples. You can't tell. Sometimes you'll find that a woman can't actually give birth to children. You find the husband going to take another wife. Sometimes a man is important, and then ask the wife, any man you like, let him impregnate you. I will adopt the child as mine. Even maybe between din and munyeri, it's not. It is, yeah. Yeah, that's
So
right.
whatever they want us to hear, that's what they.
Good. I mean, I had a friend. the wife wanted to divorce him. And then she came and told me that there's something that this man does. Whenever the wife annoys him, he will go and lie down there on the couch and begin to snore. He now knows that people are coming to meet the wife, right? When he now knows that those people have come, and that's what upsets the wife. He was he was doing it deliberately. So she came to complain to me. I said, "Onya baseball, even on and And the man told me, he said, "Naya Pete, apachamanye, yeah. So it's difficult to actually intervene in matters involving couples. It's very difficult. Like you said, what they want you to hear is what you will hear. You want to go?
That's like when they reconcile, you don't even know how they reconcile.
Good. And then I tell you something, there's a very big psychology here. Couples who quarrel all the time produce plenty of children.
Yes, bam.
Because they reconcile in bed. It's unfortunate, but that's, it's difficult to understand how these things happen, but they happen. Once you see couples who quarrel all the time, so it's some aspect of relationship.
So there is something I always hear about the Igbo culture. They say if you give birth, if a man impregnates you outside wedlock, you just shoot him. The man did not do anything in your head. The child belongs to your father. The father is going to bear your father's name. How true is that?
It's not contest. As a man, why it's not contestable. Look,
the
DNA.
will grow up want to
What
know
is DNA? Get away, my friend. And I'm taking a couple of father. I see mobile on Nanya. Look, Ipwa, Ijamutu Mwaka 3, 4, and they marry Gonisigi. All those children belong to your father. From beginning, and what if they met them and nothing?
What if the child grows up and wants to know their roots? Because I've had situations in my place where these kids grow up and become rebellious, start to fight the mother, like you hid their root from them. So what will be the explanation? Their grandfather that is their father.
Nanya, can you case your hand load ever? Jeme ego n'isi nwaanyị a okwu agwụ iduru ụmụaka gị pụọ.
No. Or what if the person is married? Because these days, wine This is made for married people. He's
Even
a married man.
yeah, even Melia Black, I said, "Unu na apụala." You see, ụmụ nwanyị generally, even agụba erike, you never wait. There was one problem I want to use, man. You see, even agụ unu erike. Women prefer married men because of the security they provide for them. They want to go. Young men who are unmarried don't give a damn how you feel. First of all, they will even deny that they are responsible for your pregnancy, and it creates a lot of problem for the woman. It's not the same with married men. And there is one thing about women. They don't want other children in their families. Most women don't want, 90% of the women, like, if you got a love child before you got married.
Which one is love child?
Love child, but nke mụta with onye ngeni ya nwee nghọta, onye dị in love with ma ọ bụ ndị ọcha. Good, onye bụ love child, because most women don't ever want such children to come into their families up till tomorrow. Sometimes a man plays around as a young man, then gets married. After about 2-3 years, a young man comes into the house, sits down, he's not in a hurry to go. And then you man wants to know who this child is. Out of curiosity, and she finds a striking resemblance between that boy and the husband. If was up was a and the man just says, well, women, they find it difficult accepting such children. Yeah, and
because they feel like the feelings might come up again, old firewood.
Not necessarily, no.
Insecurity?
That's right. They think, they think that the children they will get for you will be superseded by that person, And women can be, they're not, I don't know the word to use for them, but it's difficult to show some understanding in a situation like that. This is why I find it difficult actually to believe that Sarah had the husband go and handle my housemaid and get a key. I find it difficult because, in real life, there are very few women who can tell their husbands, go and make love to the housemaid. I don't think when you get me, so it's difficult to imagine that. You see, it is the responsibility of the woman to keep the marriage, right? Ensure that nothing ever dissolves it or interferes with it. In that process, they become too protective and a lot of things are lost. There's nobody who would like to lose his first kid or the fruit of his loins as a young man. Most times, those children are the people who make a lot of money on their own. That the young man who was a broadcaster is dead now. He got married. One day, a young man just came with a very big car, long limousine like that. And he brought a lot of money into the house. Immediately the father saw him, he knew no where working.
Resemblance?
Yeah, but the woman didn't, he was telling the woman no where they were, no care, no guy, In spite of the fact that this boy came with a lot of money, there was opulence all over him and all that, the woman was reluctant to accept this young man, right? In another situation, there was this man, he schooled abroad, and there was a white woman who helped him a lot. He was able to pay his school fees because he was bathing corpses, and each corpse he had to bathe, he got £8. And this woman was arranging 3 corpses for him on a daily basis. And this guy made so much money. Then before he left, he had a one-night stand with this lady and she got pregnant. And he just wrote a name. If this child comes out as a boy, give him this name. I don't want to tell you that name. It doesn't sound too pleasant to the ears, give him this name. The father refused to accept her again because a black person, Italian one, all that, and he raised the child. The boy became a lawyer, and some guy went from Nigeria, and because they were involved with the same case, he looked at this boy. Of course, not a friend to the father. And he said, "What's your name?" The boy mentioned his name. The guy was shocked. And he said, "Where are you from?" And he said, "I am told that my father is from a town near the river Niger." And when eventually the boy came home, through the assistance of that lawyer, it was difficult for the man's wife to accept that young man. He came with a lot of money. In fact, he came to take some of the kids belonging to the father overseas to train them himself, because but it's and I don't know why, but maybe I don't know who to blame.
Maybe that's how God created us.
Well, that's how it appears, but I'm not sure. God made you people to be very unreasonable. I don't think He did, because when you find somebody who is the son of your husband, wealthy, opulent, comfortable, and ready to assist in raising the other umunnie, and yet you're this reluctance to accept what? That's nonsensical. I mean, well, I'm not a woman, so there's no, I can't pretend to know how you people feel, but I'm just talking as a man, right? If somebody like that comes, you should accept him. You should. Yeah, you should.
So lastly, sir, marriages of these days, we call ourselves the millennials and the Gen Z baddies. What advice do you have for us? Because a lot of us want to get married, but we don't know how to stay married. We marry today, we divorce tomorrow. Can you give us one simple advice, especially as women, that can just make us sit in our husband's house and make the marriage work?
Regrettably, you don't know what you want. That is the biggest problem with our women. They don't know what, like I told you earlier, our mothers were uneducated, but they knew that they were getting married to raise families. So they would go there. Now you're chuku, that is, you get pregnant. Kamuto moaka for their husband. So that, wherever the children go to, the moment you look at their faces, it's such a source of pride that and then the family is growing. You people don't think about such things now, which is unfortunate. Like I said, that's one thing, Then, number 2, you don't even know why you get married. You don't get married to stay single. It does not make sense. You get married to raise a family. That is the idea. The white people don't believe very much in marriage. They don't. Sometimes even people will say, we are live-ins. We are partners, we're live-ins, I'm not going to get married, I don't want to be pregnant, I don't, You don't want to be pregnant, and yet you're married. What sense does it make? When I was overseas, I saw a lot of people get married, and all those who came to the church, those who were marrying, I'm around the all over Kobo to go and stand in, and at the end you pay them. Just like when the all over be back one one obodo Igbo. So madu wunari get to if one day I will then you just keep one appointment, whether with a girlfriend or something.
So is marriage solely for reproduction? What about love? What about memories?
Let me tell you something. If somebody wants to marry you for love and memories and all that, then he wouldn't marry you. He wouldn't marry you. Okay, just party and he wouldn't marry you. There is nothing like marrying and staying just for love and love. It is that love that will translate into children. Except money were problem name one. Otherwise, people get married. Look, Nanya, somebody gets married today, and after a year or two, everybody expects to see that woman pregnant. You will see your mother-in-law getting disturbed about the fact that you don't have a baby yet. She will approach the son. Ogini nwoke ibe gị bi. Ogini eze ịchọrọ ka m kurie nwa m wee nwụọ. So in our own case, as ndị ojii, as ndị Igbo, we're not marrying for company or companionship. We are marrying to raise children. We're marrying to raise children. Then we train those children. By the time Anyuwaga Kazenka, they will now start taking care of us. I mean, there's a beautiful vehicle outside there. It was given to me by my son for Christmas, right? I mean, and he said, Dad, tell me whatever you want. You suffered to raise us. I told them when they were growing up, if any of you passes his JAM, gets into the university, and graduates successfully, I will buy that person a car. And I bought 5 cars for all 5 sons. And
wow.
Yes, I thank God I was able to do that. Now, the reason why I did it, peer group influence have destroyed a lot of children. Somebody gave to papaya. All his age mates are me. They'll go get drunk and crash and they all die. And I said to myself, instead of my children joining their mates to go for some roistering and then ending up in graves the unmarked, let them have their own vehicles and be responsible for whatever they do. And by the grace of God, I succeeded in doing that, right? And today, if I say I want this, my sons ensure that I get that thing I am talking about. Right, which is why it's good for people to marry and raise children.
It's an investment. That means marriage and raising children is an investment.
Hey, I mean, you get married, you train your children.
And
you reap the benefits later in your life. Sometimes I sit down and I get a phone call from my grandchildren, and I say, God, how can I thank you? Namdendo, my grandchildren are graduating from universities outside this country. I'm going to be again half of the year now. I'm a striker, and I thank the good Lord for it. I wouldn't have asked the Lord for anything better, right? So when I look at our girls, I don't feel happy. Navada no dona bedi. You people should stop imitating EDOCHIE. And when even EDOCHIE the marriage, nothing. EDOCHIE na anu nkita, ba na anu horse, ba na anu pussy. Anyị never brought the same thing. EDOCHIE dey enwe ụmụnna. We do. One more thing I was expecting you to ask me. Ọ na-adịkwanụ mma onye chọọ ịnụ di nke nwazi onye Igbo. You can find love anywhere, mana ọ bụ na ịnụ adị from an Igbo family. Ịbụ na onwe ebe na-eselu unu asị unu bịa ka edozie. It will be very easy for you and your husband to come together and go for that invitation. Onye ọbụla kwuo ebe bụ iwu ya, ịghọtago. Most times when our women get married to people who are not of Igbo stock, and when a misunderstanding the man just goes, yeah, that's right, the man just goes his own way. He does not owe your parents any of it. You have no reason to call him and ask him about his family. Obro kandi Igbo si eme. Aka US. No, but there is no Igbo family. Acho kababasa. There's none. There is none. Everybody, you see, in Igbo land, no. If you get married tomorrow, all the people in that community na nungenwa. When they come to visit you, if I got you your husband, they will not say Kerimunye again. No. That is something that is what we have. That is our source of pride maritally. Which is why if you get married, all the respect you deserve, you will get it from every human being in that community. And sees you walking on the road. He comes back on your back seat. It takes you to the market, possibly gives you some money. The moment you get home and you tell your husband, he starts laughing. Already, he will do the same for that person's work. The whole world. Let me tell you this. Onye Igbo je tour. The first thing he does, will get something for his wife. Second, for the children. Will get maybe jeans or something for himself. They want to go. And they may meet as no August meeting. If the husband must make sure she provides it. He must provide it because that's the obligation he owes to the wife. And what on the other name here? Every street and all. So it's particularly painful for some of us who are advanced now to see our daughters opting out of marriages. So try, rapport on EDOCHIE, EDOCHIE are in permanent competition with their husbands. Okay, if check Igbo, emekete ngenwa as one aribe Enugu Igbo in Apple. I mean, there are so many things that gives us honor, which we don't want to compromise. People will tell the Peter, it doesn't compromise his culture. Fine, I am proud. Igbo. Yeah, I'm very proud. I mean, ọkwa anyị ji ewa ji mbọsị ya, ịghọtago. Onwe onye bịa nọdụ jide mma na-eji. And when he invited me, I said, look, mmadụ na-aba ada awa ji, wetara m mma na asị m bịa. At the end of the day, even the Igwes who were there, onye bụ igwe ada arapụ obi eje ịwa ji ebe ọzọ. It doesn't happen that way. No. There are so many things that are beautiful about our culture that a lot of us do not know, and we pretend to know. Igwe ada arapụ obi eje ịwa ji ebe ọzọ. Ụmụ nwanyị ada awa ji. Ebe arapụrụ ụmụ nwoke. Ụmụ nwanyị ada aga ọjị. There are reasons for all these things. And ọ bụ na awa ọjị in Igbo land, onye were ọjị ga-ewere ọjị nye nwanyị. Nwanyị ama etinye aka n'ebele nya na ụmụ nwoke ada eme etu a. Ụmụ nwanyị, they are given all the respect they are entitled to in Igbo land. Ọ bụrụ etu a bụ ka ndị ọzọ si eme. Ịghọtago? I mean, iwetala ọjị. I didn't ask you to put money in it, no. Mana ọ bụ na nwoke ka ebu, ga-asị gị tinye ego ọjị. Mana ọ nwaanyị ka ebu, ime etinye m nwoke ego ọjị. No, you will not. There are so many things make our culture or be unique or be fantastic, which we expect our women to be our cultural ambassadors. Ma ọ bụ na ba January. Mana ọ na-ete aka unu agbapụ ebe unu n'ụdị. It's not, ọ bụrụ ezigbo ibe ka ọ bụ. Anyị ga na-anụ ụmụaka anyị. Mba. So we appeal to all of you. Well, Blessing, gị na ndị otu unu, you know, Peter Edochie bụrụ unu n'anya rinne, because ebe ọ bụ na nwaanyị onye Igbo nọ, ị na-anya ị ga-ama na onye Igbo. Nke mbụ bụ na unu na-ama mma rinne, ọzọ unu na-adị mma ị na-anya. Most of ụmụ nwaanyị na-adị ọcha bụ ụmụ nwaanyị ndị Igbo. Chukwu kere anyị etu a bụ Chukwu bụrụ anyị n'anya rinne. Unu emebizine ngozi niile Chukwu nyere anyị. Ọkwa na alaka unu na-apụ. Onye baa na be di ya nọdụ ebe a bụ. Ịghọtago? Ibe ọbụla gị na di gị jete, sọsọ unu na-abụ ma alụ. Onye ọzọ ekwesịrị ịma ebe gị na di gị na-eje. Ịghọtago? Enwere ibe gị nwaanyị ọzọ nwee ndị nwa na-enwerọ. Rapụchasị awụsa niile anyị na-asa. Onwere ibe ọzọ, onwere ibe anyị na ibe niile na-enye anyị aṅụrị ma anyị na-amakwasị unu bụ na arụ anyị ka o si apụta. Onwere nwaanyị ka ibie mma, onwero. N'ọwụsa ka anyị ji ajụkwu ndị ọzọ. Ịghọtago? Ya ebe ọbụla unu nọ, biko nọsie na ya ike. Lotenu na ụmụ nwaanyị ndị Igbo ka unu bụ, na unu dị iche. Otu dị Jesu.